Hey everyone, welcome to Devlog number 12 for Vampires vs. Aliens. It's been a while since our last devlog. Been quite busy with work and life stuff. Have managed to squeeze in development time here and there. What you'll see today is the fruits of that labor, but going forward we should be a bit free, at least until the next time I get swamped. So we'll see. Two new headline features for this update. First is the usability thing that I mentioned last time that I've been looking forward to doing, something I think that was critical for this game to be nice to play. And the other thing is there's a new active skill. I didn't want to just release yet another devlog without anything new and exciting, so in this one we do have a new active skill that I think will whet your appetite. So let's talk first about the new usability thing. I think you'll notice it pretty much immediately. You have all of your stats. There's a right panel now in the passive tree that lists all of your different attributes, what their current value is. They're color coded by what affects the skill, so travel distance obviously doesn't affect Blood Arrow. Blood Arrow is an attack skill, it shoots a projectile. Why would travel distance matter? And for every one of these attributes, there's a little tooltip that hovers it and explains what it does, and it also will update. So if I take these skill damage ones, you'll see on the right, I am getting more damage. And you can see what the modifier is, what the skill damage is, and how much of that is coming from the player. So you'll notice that, of course, there's the player attributes, so there's the player damage modifier, and then there's the skill damage modifier. Subject to change, all of this stuff, of course. The skill damage modifier includes the player damage, so you kind of see your player total and then your total for this skill, and then that results in your damage. You've got crit chance, crit damage, all of that good stuff. So that's the first feature. I think this is super important to do. You'll notice if I level up, and this may spoil. Yep, it's going to spoil the new thing, but if I take Hemo Point, you'll see that a bunch more skills are highlighted in red because damage doesn't matter. This is a teleport skill, right? But if I switch between the two panels, it'll go in red the ones that no longer apply. I could just hide them, but I think it's clearer, at least for a first-time user, this doesn't matter anymore. One little cool thing is it still shows the player's value, because if I take, say, what's an example? Projectile speed, right? If I go up here and take projectile speed, you'll see it goes up by 10%. This affects Blood Arrow, but it doesn't affect Hemoport, but you're still getting it, right? It's still a relevant thing to say how much am I getting in total, how much is this tree affecting that stat? Well, now you can see. So this still works if you take support skills, so you'll see as I take max HP, my maximum HP is going up. Doesn't include a modifier at the moment, just shows your total. What goes into this panel may change over time. In fact, it's definitely going to change over time. There's probably going to be a scroll bar for it at some point, or some other usability things, but right now, as the game exists, we're just going to list everything unless we see a reason not to. So yeah, that's the first big thing. The second is a new active skill. That's what I think everyone is really excited about, which I didn't even select. Let me quickly bring that up again. Ball Lightning. So this is a familiar skill if you've played Path of Exile or a lot of different ARPGs. The version you're going to see here is the souped up version of it, what it would look like if you'd leveled it up a bit. It was mostly just for testing and making sure I got the effects nice. It's not its final version. Obviously you can see I've just drawn it in paint, but it looks and works like this. So it shoots out this ball that by itself doesn't do any damage, but it will damage everything in its range and zap it with lightning for damage each time it pulses with damage. So things like area will scale really well with it. Damage, of course, will scale really well. And we're going to add a few other things to it. Inherently, it's going to be a pretty slow projectile with a short lifetime. So we're going to add projectile lifetime stats. This will give it a longer time for it to deal its damage. And the other thing we're going to do is put in some some projectile speed reduction nodes into it. I really want you to be able to slow this thing down so that it can do its thing. Yeah, so it's working. I yet to find out just how laggy it gets. I'm not sure I love how how it's working. I can definitely feel it's doing a bunch of math to calculate all of those points, but there's a lot of randomness in the way it's generating lightning. And while I don't love the paint circle itself, I do kind of like how it's come out in terms of the lightning, but we'll see. So that's it for today. Next up is going to probably be more actives and support skills. I really want to get a few new little toys in there for the next release. We need to start looking towards that. Not sure yet if I'm going to do a release again before meta progression or wait for meta progression to be in there. I've talked a lot about what I plan to do with it, but in terms of the resources to develop that, there's some availability things that means we might not get that worked on until November, and I think some people have asked if they could play a new version. So I might just keep adding skills and release a version as is. I also want to start looking at adding some more interesting enemies to fight, some ranged enemies. So I don't know what I'm going to work on next. I tend to sort of do this. I've got a list of things that I do and pick up what I need, what I feel is most important to pick up next. But it'll be one of those three things. So thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting, and yeah, have a good day.